Dealing damage is pretty fun. Let's talk about that. I'll go over how much damage everything does, so let's start with the main weapons. All the damage values I share here will be with 0 damage hacks or chips. All the damage here can be increased by either taking Marina's damage hack or finding the appropriate chips in the tower. For any attack I mention, I'll also mention what kind of attack it is from the 6 different types which I mentioned in my chips video. It's good to know the damage type so that you know which chips will directly impact the attack. I try to be pretty thorough when I tested all my numbers, but if I missed anything or got anything wrong, feel free to point it out. It's very possible that I made a mistake. Alright, let's go. The dualies deal 240 main type damage for each shot. If you have the dodge roll attack chip, then your dodge rolls will also deal 800 rush type damage. This is very high for such an easily spammable attack, and you shouldn't overlook it if you have the dualies. The umbrella shots deal 162 main type damage. You can hit enemies with up to 5 shots at the same time, dealing 810 damage total. Hitting an enemy with umbrella's shield will deal 500 rush type damage. This is true whether it's used as a shield or it's launched. The splatter shot and octa shot deal 240 main type damage per shot. The splat roller's horizontal ink flick deals 1000 main type damage, while the vertical ink flick deals 1200 main type damage. Rolling into enemies deals 1000 rush type damage. The splat charge deals main type damage that scales depending on how long you charge it for. At no charge, it deals 400 damage. At full charge, it deals 1600 damage. It also pierces enemies if fully charged. The tri-stringer's arrows will deal main type damage if they directly hit an enemy. At no charge, it deals 300 damage per arrow. At half charge, it deals 450 damage per arrow. Charging it further won't increase the damage, it will just increase the range and reduce the spread. The explosions from the arrows that are at least half charged or more deal 280 explosion type damage per arrow. Charging it further doesn't increase this. The Splatana Stamper's horizontal ink attack deals 500 main type damage. The vertical attack deals 1050 main type damage. Hitting the enemy with the physical horizontal slashes deals 200 rush type damage. Physically hitting them with a charged vertical slash deals 1050 rush type damage. If you get the lunge attack chip, your forward charge for the vertical slash will produce a hitbox which deals 800 rush type damage. The Slosher deals 650 main type damage. The Luna Blaster's direct hits deal 1250 main type damage. The shot's explosions deal 500 explosion type damage. The Octobrush deals 450 main type damage for its normal attack. Running into an enemy with the brush will deal 320 rush type damage. The Heavy Splatling deals 200 main type damage per shot. For this and the next section, I'll also be including the drone attacks since the sub and specials that they're based off are so similar. Up first are the sub weapons. The Curling Bomb will deal 200 rush type damage when sliding through an enemy. The explosion will deal 1800 damage. The level of charge doesn't change the damage, it just changes how far it'll travel and how large the explosion radius is. The Splat Bomb and Drone Splat Bomb deal 1800 explosion type damage. The Suction Bomb also deals 1800 explosion type damage. Direct hits from burst bombs or drone burst bombs deal 250 rush type damage. The explosions from these deal 350 explosion type damage. Ink mines and drone ink mines deal 450 explosion type damage. The Fizzy Bomb deals 500 explosion type damage. It can explode up to 3 times depending on how much you shake it. The Sprinkler and Drone Sprinkler deal 200 sub-special type damage. The Splash Wall deals 300 rush type damage. These will have a bit more diversity in attack type when compared to sub-weapons and won't be so heavily weighted towards explosions. Like before, I'll also include the relevant Pearl Drone attacks. The Inkstorm deals 32 sub-special type damage per tick. For attacks like this, where the damage numbers are shown in rapid succession, I'll also go over the damage per second since I think that's important to consider. For the Inkstorm, it'll do a tick of damage every 8 frames, which comes out to 240 damage per second to enemies in the area effect. The Reef Slider deals 1800 rush type damage when sliding through enemies. The Explosion deals 2200 explosion type damage. The Trizuka's direct hits deal 2200 sub-special type damage. The explosion from these attacks deals 400 explosion type damage. The Triple Ink Strike deals 375 explosion type damage per tick. It deals a tick of damage every 5 frames, which comes out to 4500 damage per second. Keep in mind that you get 3 of these strikes per special, making it an extremely damaging attack. The drone ink strike does less damage than your special version, coming to 250 explosion type damage per tick. It also deals damage every 5 frames, which comes out to 3000 damage per second. This is still pretty high, but the downside is that the drone only gets 1 strike per use. The strike itself doesn't even last any longer than the special version. The Wave Breaker's sound waves deal 450 sound type damage per wave. Sound type damage also has the added benefit of dealing full damage to armored enemies, which would normally only take 25% damage from your attacks. If the Wave Breaker is sitting directly on an enemy, it will also continuously deal 300 rush type damage. This is a pretty useless attack since it only affects a small area which the Wave Breaker is directly sitting on. The Killer Whale 5.1 deals 35 sound type damage per tick for each beam. The damage is dealt once every 5 frames, effectively doing 420 damage per second. If you combine all 6 waves, this actually comes out to 2520 damage per second. The Drone Killer Whale deals 90 sound damage per tick. Unlike the special version, she only gets a single wave, but makes up for it by doing significantly more damage than a single beam from the special version. Like before, this deals damage every 5 frames, which comes out to 1080 damage per second. Also, the damaging part of the beam lasts significantly longer than the special version. The 5.1 special beams only last 3 seconds each, whereas the drone version for this attack will deal damage for about 7 seconds. So it's both stronger and longer lasting in order to make up for not getting 6 of them. The Crab Tank's Rapid Fire deals 320 sub-special type damage. A direct hit from the Ink Lob deals 600 sub-special type damage. The splash damage from the Ink Lob deals 300 explosion type damage. And rolling into enemies as a ball deals 400 rush type damage. The Kraken Royale's jump attack deals 800 rush type damage. The Charge Dash deals 1800 rush type damage. The Ultra Stamp's hammering attack deals 1000 rush type damage. Same is true for the jumping flip attack. A direct hit with the thrown hammer deals 2200 rush type damage. The explosion from the thrown hammer deals 600 explosion type damage. The Booyah Bomb deals 264 explosion type damage per tick. It deals damage every 8 frames, coming out to 1980 damage per second. The Triple Splashdown deals 1600 explosion type damage per splashdown. Keep in mind that the special deals the damage 3 times. Last section on damage. This is to cover anything that didn't fit into the previous categories. Poison Ink deals 100 Poison Ink type damage. This is the only damage of its type. The Rush attack you can get from the Rush attack chip deals 1000 Rush type damage. The ink released from the Turbine Tower when you attack it deals 200 sub-special type damage. The Drone Step Off Song for collecting 3 discs deals 800 sound type damage. Lucky Bombs dropped from enemies when you have the Lucky Bomb chip deals 800 explosion type damage. Explosions from destroyed portals deal 480 explosion type damage per tick. It will deal the damage every 8 frames, coming out to 3600 damage per second. This is also true for the larger portal and the tentacle portals. An exploding blowfish deals 1800 explosion type damage. Bouncing off of a dead spring enemy's leftover spring deals 1200 explosion type damage. The explosion from the tower segments after destroying the head of the sniper enemies deals 1800 explosion type damage. The explosion from the anglerfish tree enemy after destroying all the eggs on his head deals 1800 explosion type damage. The explosion from shooting down the ball into the mouth of the gushing bomb enemies deals 1800 explosion type damage. The launched corpse of the top enemy deals 4800 rush type damage. Attacking an 8-ball and pushing it into enemies deals rush type damage that scales with how much momentum it has. The smallest number I could get was 156 damage, so I'm guessing the minimum is around 100 or 150. The damage can go as high as 4000 if it's moving fast enough. Damage is all well and good, but what use is it if you don't know how much you'll need in order to take out enemies? Let's solve that problem now. Keep in mind that I tried very hard to get accurate numbers, but I had to do this through shooting enemies with the weakest attack I had, which is a single shot from the Splatling. This isn't a perfect method and is prone to human error, so let me know if you see anything wrong. I was very careful, but it's possible I got some things incorrect. The training dummy has 2000 HP. Portals have different health depending on the type. The smallest, most common ones have 10,500 health. The large ones found on higher floors have 20,000 health. The tentacle ones found only on the top floor have 18,000 health. All portals will recover health over time if they're not sitting in your own ink. They also take 50% more damage from poison ink than any other enemies. A downside is that your poison ink can't kill them, it can just take them down to 1 HP. The fleeing fish enemies have 2200 HP. Like the portal, they can't be killed by poison ink, they can only be brought down to 1. The small swarming fish have 400 HP. The medium fish have 2000 HP. The big fish have 6000 HP. The flying fish that spews ink has 1000 HP. The spring enemy has 1800 HP. The top enemy is a bit unique. The health is tracked separately for the head and the body. It doesn't matter which one you destroy, the enemy will still die, but dealing damage to one part won't hurt the other. The head has 2000 HP. Destroying this will also leave behind a corpse, allowing you to launch it for a rush attack. The body has 2500 HP and is armored. This means that it'll only take 25% damage from non-sound attacks. Keep in mind that going forward, 25% damage from any non-sound attack is true for any enemy that has armor. Destroying the top this way also means that you won't be able to use this body as a rush attack. The tower enemies' segments have 150 HP each. They're armored but can be easily destroyed due to their very low health. The head has 2000 HP. Any leftover tower segments after killing the head will also fall to the ground for bonus explosion attacks. The homing missile enemies have 200 HP. The anglerfish tree enemy has 10,000 HP if you're attacking its main body. The eggs on its head only have 400 HP each. If you manage to destroy all the eggs on the head before they regrow, the main body will explode to deal damage to enemies around it. This won't happen if you kill it by attacking the main body. The gushing bomb enemies' main bodies are armored and have 1550 HP. It's usually easier to shoot down the ball suspended over its head. This only has 1000 HP and it isn't armored. This will also kill the main enemy and trigger an explosion to deal damage to those around it. There are only a few bosses, but their HP is usually different depending on when you fight them. Also, I won't be going over the Marina boss fight since you only ever fight her once. The Inkling clone bosses have 1000 HP each. Besides portals, these are the only other enemies that will recover their health if they're not sitting in your own ink. If you fight them on the 10th floor, you'll need to fight a total of 7 of them, coming in waves of 1, 2, and then 4. If fought on floor 20, you'll need to defeat 10 of them, coming in waves of 2, 3, and then 5. The HP is always 1000 each, regardless of which version you're fighting. This is also one of the only 2 bosses that take damage from poison ink. The Bounder is mostly armored but has exposed pieces that you can shoot for full damage. If you fight it on the 10th floor, it will have 14,000 HP per phase, coming out to 42,000 HP total. If fought on the 20th floor, each phase will instead have 16,000 HP, coming out to 48,000 health total. Note that knocking it into the bumpers will deal a flat 1000 damage. However, you won't be able to end any of the phases with this damage. If the boss's current stage is almost destroyed, it won't take any damage from the bumpers. The giant rotator boss's health depends not only on the floor you fight it, but which segment you're attacking. For all segments, you'll need to attack the exposed parts to do full damage. Otherwise, it will be armored and you'll only deal 25% damage with most attacks. On the 10th floor, the first and second segments have 3000 HP each. The third has 5000, 4th and 5th have 5500 each, 6th has 7500, and the 7th, 8th, and 9th each have 8000 HP. This totals to 53,500 HP if you destroy all the parts. However, you only need to actually destroy the parts that have the light surrounding them. These are the 3rd, 6th, and 9th segments. If you only attack these, you will need to deal 20,500 damage instead. Fighting on the 20th floor increases the health. The first 2 segments would have 5000 HP each. The 3rd has 8000. The 4th, 5th, and 6th each have 9000 HP. The 7th and 8th have 10,000 HP each, and the 9th segment has 16,000 HP. This totals to 81,000 health. Like before, you actually only need to destroy the 3rd, 6th, and 9th segments. This would come out to 33,000 HP if you only attack those. This is also the only other boss besides the Inkling clones that can take damage from poison ink. You'll need to cover the central pillar in ink in order to do this. Last enemy is the Order boss on the final floor. The first time you attack his exposed body, it has 20,000 HP, 40,000 HP the second time, and the final time you're attacking him, you'll need to deal a total of 60,000 HP. This comes out to 120,000 health, making him the enemy with the largest health pool by quite a lot, which isn't even including the portals you have to destroy at the start of each phase. Learning is fun. I hope you had some. Thanks. Bye.